you know? Didn't you know? Didn't you know? No. Didn't you know?
He killed that cover.
Didn't you know? You know.
I like how he put his own little stank on it. That's T. Shaheed out of Oxnard, California. It's called Didn't You Know on CTC Radio, the only radio station committed to the coast. And we have the one and the only Eric Schwartz in the building. What's good, my friend? How you doing?
You didn't know. No, you didn't know. No, you didn't know. That's a bang.
A slapper, right? A slapper. Yo.
It slaps, dude. It slaps so hard. I thought I said something inappropriate to my mom.
T. Shaheed says thank you in the chat. He's actually in the chat. That's the best thing about CTC Radio is the artists hang out in the chat, man. It's dope.
Oh, what's up? Hey, great song, man. And who produced that?
That's a good question. T Drop, who produced it, in the chat. And while he does that, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself to the people. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do, my friend?
Yo, it's me, Eric Schwartz, the 805's only bald quarter-step Mexican Jew in the building, in my building that I live in, currently in Studio City where the cutie's so pretty, but I'm from Thousand Oaks, and, I represent that 805.
I love
north of LA, south of San Francisco, Ventura, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, 805, shining bright, brighter than the crystal. Yeah. Looking for a nicer place, give up, it don't exist, bro.
I need to get a flex bomb on here, yo. I need to get a flex bomb on here for moments like that.
You need the Lord, the Sanctus Siren, something like that.
That's a fact.
And I love that you're doing the show because, growing up in the 805, the only hip hop we had was like a little bit on the radio, on the terrestrial radio.
Yeah.
And it was like far between. You had to catch it. And it was only the above ground. It was the pop stuff. And now you got your own, you're discovering local artists. You're the tastemaker of the town. It's pretty cool, man. I love it.
Thank you. I mean, there was something, it's funny because I feel like I've had 3 phases of my career. Like the one phase of being like a super fan, the phase of trying to transition from a fan to a creator, and then this old man phase of my life and looking back and being retrospective on both of those phases. And at the time of being a creator, I was kind of like, yo, I'm so mad. I wish that, it wasn't so hard to hear songs on the radio, and because I lived in the 805 and that during that time you said like I had to go to LA or there, in San Luis Obispo there was no hip hop on the radio, so we had to travel into Santa Barbara or Ventura County to hear things. And now looking back on it, I'm like, there was something special about not having to hear the things you wanted right at your fingertips that made you like go through that discovery process, and like I missed that. Yeah. And so I really appreciate you recognizing that we're trying to bring that vibe back. So what is that vibe these days for?
Yeah, that's scarcity.
Scarcity, yeah.
I was going to agree with you. That scarcity thing, like it's so available now that it's not as appreciated, that you couldn't get hip hop everywhere.
That's a fact. And I feel like that's for all things that are kind of culture based, like comedy's very culture based as well. How has the advent of technology affect the discovery process for comics, would you say?
Well, right now I feel like it's a good thing because there's a renaissance and it makes it easier for people to discover you as a comedian. It makes it easier for you to reach a niche very deep, right? So let's say you're a gamer comic and you only talk about World of Warcraft. Well, there's a huge audience for World of Warcraft, and all your jokes about World of Warcraft, you're going to hit that World of Warcraft niche, and you could be selling out shows, and nobody really knows who you are outside of World of Warcraft. So it's interesting. Like I went on tour with Joe Coy, and he's selling out theaters. You know what I mean? And this was a few years ago where, people knew him. But, like, let's say he's walking through the mall and he'd get every 20th person would see him and be like, "Hey, it's Joe Coy." And now, like, so, but he was still selling out huge, like 3,000 seats to 8,000 seats. And, it's just grown and grown and grown. And now he's selling out, like almost everybody in the mall would know him. And he's selling out, 8,000 to 10, 15,000. It's crazy.
Did you come up, like, was your comedic come up in this age of, like, in the digital age, or are you like a hybrid mixture of the generation before and the digital age?
Well, there was a little bit of internet going on when I was started, but it wasn't, it was way before you could post your material online. But that is actually how I started getting a name for myself, is I was one of the first comedians to post. I used to post MP3s on my website, and people would just discover them and give them away for free on my website. And at that time, it was like unheard of. Wow, there's free music. You just go to his website and download it. And I think I like had to pay like exorbitant amounts of money to host these MP3s and had them downloaded. And, but it was worth it because one day somebody animated, like with Flash animation at that time, one of my songs, and it went crazy around the world. It was a Hanukkah song. It was a parody of Hey Ya, the Outcast Hey Ya, and it went Hanukkah, and it went all over the world. And that got me a lot of fans, and I started becoming known for these musical parodies, and so yeah, I think I was probably one of the first comedians to really benefit from the internet. And when MySpace came along, I was making videos before a lot of people. I was making like, comedy, music videos, parody videos, sketches, and I would put them on MySpace, and they would feature me a lot because it was good, number one. And then there wasn't a lot of competition. So I was getting up there, once every couple weeks, and it was filling up my shows. So yeah, I was definitely. And then there's a little story that I don't tell too much, but Dane Cook, who was one of the first really to be widely recognized to utilize the internet, I edited his first album.
Oh, wow.
I used to record comedians at the Laugh Factory, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to go to Houston and record my album. I'm going to record all my shows at this place called the Laugh Stop, and I want to come back and I want to cut it into an album, my first album." And I helped him cut it together. And I said at the end I said, you should put clips of this on Napster. I was using Napster, and he said, and I go, put a little thing at the end of it that says, "For more information, go to www." And we were still saying www back then. Go to
Couldn't leave that out.
And he did that, and I think that is how he started blowing up.
Wow.
Was from putting his clips on Napster, and they were hilarious. So you got to be funny first, but if you're fire stuff out there on the internet, it's gonna find its audience.
That's very true. And I think so. I'm more of a hybrid. Like my come up was pre-internet, and then like a lot of my career obviously is post-internet. And one of the first things that I saw happen when like technology kind of became the great equalizer is that the creative could no longer hyper focus on just being, you couldn't, like, if you're a comedian, you couldn't just focus on being funny anymore. Like, you now had to be a video editor, you now had to be an audio engineer, you now had to do it all, the whole DIY age. And so I think one thing I really like and respect about you is that I feel like a lot of musicians can follow your blueprint, and they might get lost in the fact that you're a comedian, but you are also a musician, and you use music, in my opinion, the way it should be used. Music has always been used to promote other things. It has always been that way. Like, they're called records because they promote, music was used to sell record players and and 8 tracks and tapes and all those things. So music was kind of always the commercial. And I think that gets lost in translation. But I would love to for you to maybe talk to some of the creators in here about your approach to content, because you use it holistically to promote your talent, but also to promote your events and just to promote your creativity as well. And I really like that. So could you speak to like how you approach creating content?
First of all, and especially coming from you, that's a huge compliment. Thank you. I listen to your music and I'm like, man, this guy knows his stuff. So thank you for saying that. I kind of look at it, you know, when you said promoting your other stuff. Yeah, I think they're kind of cyclical, right? They kind of it's a yin and yang situation, because when I'm at the clubs and when I'm doing my shows, I'm also telling people I do stuff online, and when I'm online, I'm telling people I do live shows. But I kind of see as content is kind of like the sample court at the mall. You know, I come from Thousand Oaks. I have to make a mall reference. But you know, I got to talk about what I know about, right. And that's the mall. I kind of see it as like the sample that they give you at the mall food court.
Okay.
And you eat the sample and oh, I like that. I'm going to go have the whole meal. So yeah, I just kind of see like every piece of content you put out is just that hook that can bring them in to your world, and you want them filling up on that rabbit hole.
I love that, the drug dealer approach.
And I'm constantly learning more about it. Like right now I'm learning so much about YouTube that I didn't even know. And yeah, it's really interesting.
That's really dope. I want to check in with the chat real quick because this is a community-based show. So the Dank Ranch says Power 106 was all we had, when referencing when you talked about LA back in the day. Foxy Finesser just joined. Cult of Wave, Ricks X805. Ebony Danae in the chat. What's good? DG, Aaliyah, Sharif just joined. Bree Shiesty just joined. T Parky just joined. Think Create just joined. Thank y'all. Please share the stream if you can. Mama T said she knew you were an artist because you stayed on key with T Shaheed, and that's hard to do. And T Shaheed says, I Am Ralph Tiller produced that track, and he's the same guy that produced Money Long's Hours and Hours, and I like Hours and Hours. So you in good company over there, T Shaheed. See, it's so much talent and like backstory on the coast. I love it.
Yeah, you know, there is a lot of talent. I saw you in another interview talking about you know, how the community has to on the coast has to you know, stick together and stuff. And I think the coast just needs one thing that's like, if you think about like the Bay Area's hip hop scene, and they do all these dances that are like, what are they doing? And it's so cool, and you want to learn it, right? Mm-hmm. I think 805 needs that moment. 805 needs that moment of like, oh shit, yeah, I want to do what they're doing. It needs to be so independent and cool, and something that is so characteristic of the coast that I feel like is going to get all the attention on the coast, because the talent is there, and we just need that sample that's going to bring them into our food court.
Yeah, and you're not wrong, but I think all of those things come from culture. You know what I'm saying? And culture, in my opinion, comes from purpose and standards. And so my goal with CTC is to set the standards and then, you know, establish the purpose. And I feel like once those things are solidified, that will drive culture. And it doesn't have to come from me. But I mean, I feel like I'm the one that's most convicted to do it. So I hope it comes from me, but it doesn't have to, as long as we establish what those standards are and then we drive the purpose. I think that, you know, people will be inspired to do dances, and we'll come up with our own sound, and because those dances are inspired by the sound that the Bay has, that they created. You feel what I'm saying? And the sound is inspired by the standards and the culture. And that's just my opinion, but I'd love to hear what you think.
So let me ask you then. You said the standards and the standards and the culture, the standards and the purpose, the standards and the purpose. What do you think, and what does the chat on my other computer think are the standards and the purpose of the 805 of the coast? What I'm just, you know, brainstorm it. Yeah. What is it? If we get a consensus of like, oh yeah, that's what it is. So then we know it, and can put our efforts toward it.
That's a great question. In my opinion, you flipped the interview on me too. So, in my opinion,
No, I'm just curious because I want to see it shine.
No, I agree, and
I'm just curious.
I love that. In my opinion,
I want to know what it is because I don't live in the 805 now, so I really want to know, you know. But I go back and I'm like, I want to know what are people up to. I want to know about the culture.
Yeah, I think there are a couple phases for the standards. So phase 1 for standards, which we're still in on Connect the Coast, is determining what qualifies as dope and what doesn't. And that's subjective, but for me, originality and authenticity is key for me. Like to set us apart, like we can't sound like the Bay, we can't sound like LA. So a lot of the people that I play, in my opinion, have a sound that stands out. They might sound reminiscent to someone else, but they have their own authenticity that stands out. Phase 2 with standards, once we've determined who the stakeholders are, then those stakeholders need to A, uphold those standards of dopeness, and B, they need to start expanding on those things. So, and hopefully that phase will create an original sound. And I feel like we're almost there. Like I do think Anderson .Paak has done a lot in this field, and I think Kyle has done a lot in this field, even Madlib. And because we live by the beach, like our feel and our sound is more laid back. It's more instrumental. It's more traditional hip hop, which, you don't associate traditional hip hop with the West Coast, even though we have Kendrick and we have people like La Russell. You don't associate traditional hip hop with the West Coast, but the 805 especially has a special affinity for like traditional sounding hip hop, and I think we should lean into that. And then once that is established, I think everything will grow from there. I forget what the second question was.
It was the standards and the
purpose. And the purpose is, to me, the one purpose should be to put the coast on the map. Everybody should be behind that goal. And right now, most people's goal is to put themselves on the map and for themselves to go viral. And in my mind, like once everybody adopts the purpose of putting the coast on the map, and that's the driving factor, that will immediately create more opportunities for community and growth. And I think that will drive the coast into the national spotlight. And then the chat says it needs to be, Shami Miller says it needs to be one united movement, not the individual moments, which we just said. And T Parky 805 says have longevity and be on the jump, ready for anything. And Shami says we are funk babies and beach band babies. Yeah, and that's where it comes from, in my opinion. What do you think?
That's true. That's true. No, because you mentioned two artists. I didn't know who Kyle was. I'm sorry if I don't know, but you mentioned Anderson .Paak and Madlib, and to me, what they have in common is they're really creative and original, and they're very soulful. Mm-hmm. To me,
yeah.
Like Anderson, especially, I'm more familiar with Anderson's music, but like he's almost like you feel like you're listening to a '70s artist. A lot of times, there's a huge soul influence in his music, and I wonder, like, why do I have that influence in my own? That's like my favorite era is like '70s and '80s, and I mean, I don't know if that's because my stepfather's a musician that introduced me to all that, but yeah, that music really appeals to me. I don't know if it's because of where I'm from, but and also the West Coast is really influenced by that because, the Zapp and Roger type of beat is very prevalent in like the West Coast sound and the G-funk.
But especially, especially Latin culture. If you grew up, around Latin people like I did, like in Napomo, I was introduced to funk by lowrider culture, you know what I'm saying, and lowrider compilation CDs and things like that. Like that's part of, even though it's black music, it's a huge part of Latin culture, you know what I'm saying? And so we are all inspired by those mixtures of cultures and sounds, I think, that like come through in our music creatively if you grew up in an environment like that.
So we can't escape that West Coast influence, right? So we've got the Latino influence. We are lowriders. We are soul music. We are, a little bit of white boy, but the cool ones. We are the beach. We are the beach. We are that laid back, cool style, that sunset, that beautiful, unspoiled land.
Mm-hmm.
Let's, like, if you're from the 805, you got to appreciate that open space, because
Facts.
that to me is one of my favorite parts of the 805. The Central Coast to me is the most beautiful part of California, and
Yeah, easily.
you know that like just local feel. There's that. It's a small town, but it has big town influences pushing it from each side. It's bookended by the biggest cities in California, which are
Yeah.
the two biggest, like maybe the two biggest cultural influences in our country, besides New
Factual.
York. You know what I mean? Like, entertainment comes from LA,
Mm-hmm.
the whole entertainment industry. Tech, which is, the hugest influence of our day and age, is on the other side. And the coast is in the middle, just chilling in that open space, right? We got space to
100%.
create. And, I don't smoke weed, but I know that that's like a kind of a state of mind of somebody, of a person who's connected to the earth. I
Factual,
don't know.
factual.
I'm trying
And
to
I
full
smoke
of
a lot
shit.
of weed. And if you smoke weed out there, then you definitely want to talk to The Source. This show is brought to you by thesourceslo.com. So make sure you tap in for all your cannabis needs. You know what I'm saying? Because they deliver, especially if you're in San Luis Obispo County. You feel I had to do that little segue real quick. So
I didn't even know that I set up the sponsor like that.
come on,
I'm getting
man.
into it.
You set them up, I knock them down. The chat says, the chat says, Tisha. T Shahid says, growing up in church will do that. Exactly, Mom Shami Miller. Chad Lemon just joined the chat. Thank you for joining, Chad. Please share the stream if you can. 805 sound is a melting pot of music that gels as one sound. Shami Miller says. And the Shuck Ups says, blessed. Welcome, Shuck Ups. Thank you for joining. Please share the stream. Now, I'm watching the news, and all over the place I see the writer's strike happening. And I mean, a lot of comedians are writers. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the best writers are comedians. So how what is your take on that? What is your perspective on that? And I'm gonna throw the question of what are your feelings on AI? Are you implementing it into your act? Where do you stand with it?
Yeah, I live down the street from CBS Radford studio in Studio City, and I hear us driving by all day honking and supporting the picketers. So it's right next to my house. And of course I support the writers. Of course I think they should make real money. I mean, there's people that are writing TV shows that are like almost practically homeless. That's from what I heard on the news. I don't know how true that is or how widespread that is, but like, if you're making shows that are making corporations billions of dollars, you should at least be able to support yourself, right?
Facts.
But that's what they're fighting for. They're not asking to be rich. They're the working class of the entertainment industry. They just want to be able to survive. And for some reason, the entertainment, the way that the attitude is like, you're lucky to work for us. You'll grind unfairly, and you'll go get our coffee, and you know what I mean? Like, I for one am like, it's time to abandon that mindset. And why can't entertainment be like every other business? Like, if you look at tech is very it's the model for today, and they treat their employees like gold.
Yeah.
They have like campuses with you can eat lunch there. You can some of like Facebook has like fitness right there. You have a gym right there. So why can't entertainment, which is it's kind of like a very similar to to tech, because it's social media is kind of entertainment. it can be connected. We were making things that are being streamed on tech platforms. Why can't entertainment be more like tech? And with AI, I haven't seen it be creative to the point of like feeling threatened. And I don't know too much. I don't know. I'm not really deep into it. But yeah, I could see why people are concerned about that. It's an odd time to strike when people are talking about like, well, AI is going to replace all these writing. I don't know that that's true, but it's an interesting time. I'm hoping that AI turns out to be a tool that we can control. That let's let humans win.
I know.
That's my theory.
I fully agree. Shami Miller says, speaking of smoking, it's time to spark. The Slow Roll just joined. Thank you for joining the Slow Roll. Please share the stream if you can. Trap God in the building. Thank you for joining. He says facts. Bobby No Style in the building. 805 Bean in the building. Thank y'all for joining. Please share the stream if you can. Shami Miller says, but without them talking about the writers, the industry doesn't exist. And that is very true. T Parky 805 says, why dream small? Bohemian Music Studios just joined. Thank you for joining. Shorty Doo-Wop in the building. He says, Eric motherfucking Schwartz. Shami Miller says, I have, and it's no bueno for me. And I think you bring up such a great correlation between tech and the entertainment industry, because I actually work in tech now, and there is trauma that I brought with me into tech and I didn't even know I had it. It's because you're right, like the elite in the entertainment industry kind of beat you down and make you feel like you should be happy for any little piece of crumb you get, and they aren't the ones that are creating the content. Like at my time of my height of having record deals, like I was the producer, I was the writer, I brought a lot of my relationships to the table, and everybody talked to me like I was the least important part of the equation. And so when I started working in tech, I had problems acclimating because I would talk to founders and stuff like with my head down, like, oh no, is it like, can I? And I would say like, can I do this? And they'd be like, we hired you to do this. Like, you need to tell us why you want to do it, but like take autonomy, take control. You know what I'm saying? I made way more money than I ever made in music at a time. I had unlimited time off. I had crazy health benefits. I get equity, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, marketing is part of building the company, but I'm not coding or anything. And I have equity, like in shares and all that stuff. And it's like tech, as far as the way they treat their employees, they fully understand, they fully get it. And it's like, entertainment, it's, I hate to compare it, but it is very similar in mindset to the relationship between a slave driver and a slave. It's not the same thing, but in mindset it's the same, because it's like they take all the value, they extract all the value, and then want you to beg them and thank them for treating you terribly. And it's really, really, really crazy. I appreciate that you brought up that correlation.
Isn't that weird though? Because with all my learning about creativity, I do a lot of learning about creativity. Creativity thrives when you feel abundant, when you're not worried about how you're going to pay your bills. You know what I mean? And it should be like, for creativity, they should treat you like the tech companies are treating you, because if you're happy, you're going to create more, you're going to create better stuff. So I don't understand, like it's to their best interest to make these writers happy and to make these writers feel safe, and so that they can create better stuff for them. Yeah. Because they're obviously doing a great job making millions of dollars. And from stories that I've heard, like the top of the company, or they're making more money than they ever had. The companies are making more money than they ever had. So why can't you give some of that back to the people who are helping you get there? I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, to me,
I think they're going to win.
Yeah, to me, it comes down to like I don't know if it's commoditization or commodification, one of those, but of content, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so much content being pumped out, and like, it's so centralized. Like, there is no Billboard chart for Netflix. You feel what I'm saying? They just say those are the 1 through 10 shows, but who's tracking the streams? Like, isn't YouTube? Netflix isn't like YouTube. When you log onto a show, you don't know how many streams a show has. For all we know, you know what I'm saying? Like, a show like On My Block, which I did a lot of the music for, that show probably has 1 billion streams. You know what I'm saying? And like, I did a lot of music. I did music for season 1 and season 2 of that. I probably got a lot more recognition from those shows than any other show, and I've made the least amount of money from those placements. You feel what I'm saying? But like, more people know who I am from those shows, whereas like, because the trailer industry is more traditional, if I do a song for a trailer, maybe not everybody sees it, but that check is way, way, way bigger. But my thing is like, why does the price range change when I know Netflix is making billions of dollars just like the studio? So why are they allowed to get away with paying me a fraction of what I get paid for a trailer versus the movie studio? That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because you know why? Because anything that's online, they say that it's new media, right? So if something's on a network, then that's like the traditional way that everyone's always gotten paid. So if you did something for a network show, you get paid more. But if it's the same rules don't apply to new media, which is digital. Like, digital's been around for enough time for us to stop calling it new.
Right.
Right? Like when can it be this? Like, even YouTube, I don't know if this is the right stat, but I think something like 80% of America watches YouTube.
Yeah.
They're not watching the same show, but you know how big that's the biggest network that I've ever heard of.
It's the second largest search engine in the world, YouTube.
Yeah. And next to Google, which they own.
Yeah.
Which Google owns YouTube. So yeah, I don't get it. I was like, let's just make it all just a network is a network. It's not new anymore. We get paid fair wages. The writers get, and then the actors we're supposed to strike next, and the directors. So I just think that there's just like a lot of money being made, and the people that are making the shows are not getting compensated.
100%.
Yeah, if I get a role on a new media show, I don't know what the rules are, but like, if I booked something, I don't know if I get paid the same as I would if I had a role on a network show.
Yeah,
I don't know what the rule.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous. The media, the platform that the media is on, new or not, should not matter. What should matter is if we live in an economy of attention. If all the attention is on Netflix, it don't matter if you call it ancient media. You know what I'm saying? If all the attention and all the eyeballs are over there, then the bulk of the money should come from over there. Like, it's not like, oh, this is new, so we can underprice it and under-index it. That makes absolutely no sense. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you don't do that for new companies that we're evaluating. Like, it's not like just because it's a new company, all of a sudden you can under-evaluate it and like and tank the shares. That they don't do that on Wall Street. They just do that to content because they don't respect. I feel like a lot of people who make money off of content and commodify it don't respect what goes into making it and don't understand what goes into making it, and that's really sad. Now I'm not gonna keep you on too much longer. I really do appreciate you coming on and giving us your time. I have a couple more questions. One of being one about your YouTube channel, which I really like. And actually, before I ask this question, I just want to make sure I'm not ignoring the chat. Hogue Bum Nasty says, how do I hit the WhatsApp? The link for the WhatsApp is in our Instagram story. You can join there. And we have a lot of opportunities for artists, and we're connecting the coast in there, providing a lot of opportunities. So please join the WhatsApp. T Parky says, that's why tech is progressing way faster. Generations change the outcome of said product. Does the music industry have a union? It does not. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there is no labor unification in music. There is not at all. The real Trap God says, talk to me nice, Eric. He likes what you're saying. Shami Miller says, mine is mine regardless. Facts, Lord. New media is capped for what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine too. That's super, super true. Maharana Siddin, I cannot say that, but thank you so much for joining the stream. I appreciate you. So what I was going to ask you is who fan arted, I love the concept, the title of that segment on your YouTube channel. Can you talk to us a little bit about the origins of that and what it is and how people can check it out?
Yeah. So who fan arted is my fan art live stream. So I booked a role as the voice of a Playboy douchebag shark for this very popular YouTube show called Hell of a Boss. It's an animated show, and like talk about independent, just doing it by yourself on YouTube. This was started by a very young woman that just had a great concept and like designs, and she gained a following on DeviantArt of all places. And she made this pilot for her show, and it's huge. It's a huge show. I think the pilot has something like I'm gonna just get, I think like 100 million views or something. Wow. But my episode is season 2, episode 3, and it has like 14 million views. My character's name is Chaz, and so it has one of these like Comic-Con level fandoms where people draw fan art all that. So when my character came out, I just like Twitter just blew up with all this fan art. Wow. And I'm like, oh my God, these people are really talented. I'm like looking at this fan art and I'm like, this is crazy. Nothing that I've ever done has gotten this kind of reaction. And so I said, how do I, show these people that I appreciate them and showcase their art? So I made this live stream show where I basically show off their fan art and discuss it. And I've had a couple guests on there that are connected to the show. And we talk about the fan art and I'll interview them. So yeah, I just put the words together, fan art, and I'm like, it kind of looks like fart when you put them together. But who fan arted, and that kind of describes the show.
It's like Snoop Dogg is asking the question.
You got to get people's attention. So
facts.
You're like, fan art. I get it. Oh, that's funny.
It definitely got mine. I've been subbed to you for a while, and I was scrolling and I saw that headline, and I was like, yo, what is this? And I watched. I was like, this is really, really dope. I like that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you see some of that art, and you're like, sometimes I'll look at the art and I'll go, wait, was this actually on the show? Because it's so good. These artists they're young. They're like, some of them are in high school, and I'd say the age range of the artists that I'm getting are like, I don't know all their ages, but I'm guessing it's like from like 14 to 30 is probably the age of most of them.
Wow.
And so yeah, super talented.
That's really cool. That's really, really dope. So I want to close out with talking a little bit about music and some of your favorite music creation tools to use. Like, what are you on? Ableton, Logic? What is some of your favorite things to use for the producers out there?
Yeah, I've been using Ableton forever, but I don't know. I think I might mess around with some other stuff. Like, people are telling me that Logic is really, it's easy to learn, and it's like very fast. You can get to things way faster. And they say that Ableton is more technical. I just know it because I've been using it forever. So I might try some stage. I use a looper. I do like some beatbox stuff and effects, but I use the TC Helicon Voice Live 2. You can overdub with it, meaning you can go over what you have already recorded, but you see a lot of these loopers now that are like 5 tracks. So it looks like a mixer with like 5 buses on it, and you can put stuff in and out, which I think is a cool possibility. I might get more into looping live. I grew up as a DJ, So I have a back there. I have this little tiny DJ controller. I got one. I got one again because I wanted to mess around with it. It's called the Reloop Ready. It's tiny. It's like the exact same size as my laptop, but it works. It's like the scratch is like accurate. I'm
That's
surprised.
dope.
Um, so yeah. I might just like mess around with DJing a little bit more. Maybe I'll figure out a way to put it in my show. What else do I use? I don't know what else um I started messing around a little bit with BPM Supreme.
I'm not
I
familiar with that.
oh guys, and they're really nice. Oh, and then I've got these. These are the best. Ultimate ears. These are like
Are those in-ear
it's not
monitors?
focusing. Yeah, these are in-ear monitors,
Fire.
and they're custom made for me. They molded my ears, and they made these. Let me pop the box open.
That's dope.
They're like, look at this. So they got my logo on them.
Hey, I seen
So
them
they
at
fit
NAM
in my ears, and
actually.
they're like, yeah. So my one of my best friends, Tony Beres, is the artist liaison, for Ultimate Ears, and when I did, they sponsored my after party, which and we
That's
had
dope.
DJs there. We had the Baker Boys were there. We
Hey,
had Mr. Chalk. He spun at my after party. Jay Valentino, Kendo. Kendo's actually the guy who introduced me to BPM Supreme and Reloop. And so yeah, man, I got because I came up DJing. I love DJs, man. I love DJs. Like one of my favorite DJs. He's from the Bay Area, but now he lives in LA. His name's Mike Realm. You guys got to
yeah,
check out this. Mike Realm. He does
yeah.
video DJing, but he's also like take the video out of it.
He's a dope
That's super
DJ.
creative on a whole other level. But like he'll do remixes of like he'll take the movie Home Alone and he'll take little samples from it and make a song live telling the story with the clips. It's like it'll blow your mind. You're like, what the hell's going on? But take all that out, and he's at the core of it a dope ass DJ. He won a DMC. I think he might have won it a couple of years. He DJs with the Far Side, so he
Hmm.
goes on tour with them, and so and a couple of other artists. And he's just a dope dude. I would say he's probably my favorite DJ.
I love that. I love that. Yo, and thank you for all those tips, man. I gotta get me some in-ear monitors, man. I heard they make all the
Hell,
difference in the world.
all right, I'll hook you up with Tony.
Hey, let's go, let's go. So last question before we get out of here. What is your special about? How can people find it?
So my special is not out yet, but it's called Delivery, and it has a kind of a double meaning. Like my comedic delivery is a lot different because I use music and multimedia with my stand-up, but it also has a birth origin story of being delivered into the world, and it will. I don't know when it's going to come out, but we're submitting it to the networks next week, and there's a chance it'll be on the network. There's a chance it'll be on YouTube. We'll see how it plays out. But when it comes out, you will know because I will not shut up about it.
I love it. I love it, man. I would love to experiment with a pay-per-view in the metaverse. You know, we got those plugs, man. So if you want to make that happen, you know,
Oh, okay.
we have those
Thank you,
we have
man.
those elements. If
Dude.
you want to do like a watch party in the metaverse or something and make it pay-per-view, I could definitely help that out. I want to see if that's a good use case for these properties that I have. So if you're ever interested, let me know.
That was cool, man. And I got to say, man, to all the artists that are watching, it is a blessing that you have this man
Wow.
holding you guys down because, dude, you are so proactive about it. I released a song about the 805 and you reached out to me and you said, yo, let's do something. And like, since then, you've just been nothing but cool, man. And I just love seeing you grow. And I love seeing you put the spotlight on the 805 artists. It really, makes me happy to see it. So thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the way you put the city on your back as well. It means a lot to everybody on the coast. So please let everybody know where they can find you. I'm definitely gonna play I'm 805 right after this, but let everyone know where they can find you on socials and how they can best support your movement online.
Cool. Yeah. Well, my website, ericschwartzlive.com. That's where you can find all my tour dates. If you're on Instagram, fuck with me.
Hey.
Eric Schwartz with 3 E's. With 3 E's. EEERICSCHWARTZ. It's pronounced Eric Schwartz. And then YouTube, Eric Schwartz. Twitter, Eric Schwartz. Facebook, Eric Schwartz. TikTok, Eric Schwartz with 3 E's. Eric Schwartz? Just look up Eric Schwartz and look for the bald one.
Hey, I love that. Yo, Eric, I really, really appreciate you and everything you do, and your time means a lot to us. I'm glad that you're happy and willing to donate some of it to us, and I hope you have a great evening, and we're going to connect, and we support you however we can. So please never hesitate to let us know how we can support what you got going on, man. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Peace.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
Later.
Peace. All right, we're going to get into this I'm 805 by Eric Schwartz featuring Casey Family, Shorty Doo-Wop, Lord Sanctus, and Young Quicks. This is a world premiere on CTC Radio. Make sure you tap in with Eric Schwartz. Let him know where you heard it first because, he's doing big things and he's putting on for the coast.
I'm from the north of LA, south of San Francisco, Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo. The place where the wildfires always seem to hit yo, cause of those pyrotechnic rhymes that we're known to spit though. Lord, Shorty, Casey, and Quicks know, so I had to bring them all together in the mix show. That the 805 got rhymes, and if you say no, you're about to get hit 5 times by California's elbow. Take it,
I'm an 805 native, handsome and creative. Wherever you go, you'll probably have someone related. From a city where the beach is secondary, here's Celeste and Oxnard, that's the home of strawberries.